I really want to live another 500 years. Su Jin died. He was born with a congenital heart disease. He was pranked by a child and accidentally got too excited. His heart could not bear it, and he was frightened to death. After 20 years, one small mistake cost her her life. Su Jin just wanted to say, I really want to live another 500 years. So there was a system that said she could still live in this dead world, but only if she had to complete some tasks. Su Jin agreed, without thinking. Then she changed the scene, the world, the body, and the name. She got a script in the world of fairy tales. The original owner's surname was Bai Yueguang. She was the youngest princess in the current Holy Land. She was the daughter of an empress. She had been favored since she was a child. She was as beautiful as a flower and was known as the most beautiful woman in the mortal world. Unfortunately, she was not the heroine, but a cannon fodder female supporting role. He was still a cannon fodder who loved to seek death, but in the end he was played to death by the male and female protagonists and the villain. Her mission is to let the villain boss counterattack, successfully win the heroine back, and leave the hero to squat in the corner and cry. So the task of the system is to beat the Mandarin ducks with a stick and find trouble, right? The hero and heroine are childhood sweethearts, and the husband is in love with the concubine. Okay, you can break it up. You have nothing to do, right? It had been 3 days since Su Jin had walked in before she figured out the characters inside. It wasn't that she liked to enjoy it, but that the princess-like treatment was really depressing. Warning, warning. Host, please complete the task as soon as possible. Su Jin curled her lips. She had been reminded of this thing N times today. It's not that she didn't want to do the task, but that she couldn't help it. She was far away from these main tasks. What a joke. Warning, if you don't complete the task on time, the host will be wiped out. Not even the scum will be left. Su Jin smiled. I will go find the hero and heroine and the villain. As the emperor's most beloved princess, it was extremely easy for Su Jin to leave the palace. Although she might not gain much if she left the palace, it was enough to cope with the system. Then Su Jin was attracted by the food on the street. Because of her illness in her previous life, she had a lot of taboo foods, and she ate light food all day long. After these 3 days, she had gained some weight from her original owner's full body. After all, the original owner is a fairy who grew up eating fairy fruit. Su Jin is a princess, and she is accompanied by 2 palace maids when she goes out. In addition, there are a bunch of guards secretly protecting her. So Su Jin was confident, fearless of nothing, and ran rampant, dragging her like a 250-year-old. Then she met another 250-year-old who was built like a pig and had a lewd smile on his fat face. Hey, girl, you look good. How about having a romantic relationship with me? Before Su Jin could say anything, the maid next to her yelled back. Who are you? How dare you miss my father-in-law? Girl. Bai Wu's face instantly turned green. In his career of robbing good-natured women, he had never suffered such great aggrievement, so he did not intend to reason with her. He waved his hand and planned to rob her directly. The passers-by looked at her with pity. What a pity for such a good girl. Who didn't know that Wang Fugui was a famous bully in the capital? With his aunt, who was a noble concubine, he knew how to rob good women all day long. Beauty, just. Before he could finish his words, 250 scumbag servants were instantly killed by Su Jin's guards, and 250, who was still in a daze, was kicked to the ground. After the onlookers reacted, they shouted, okay, one after another, and some even came forward and beat Bai Wu and his servants. The scene was really chaotic. In just a few seconds, Su Jin ducked and walked out. Because the system gave a prompt, the male protagonist and the female protagonist appeared not far ahead. At this time, the male protagonist and the female protagonist came to the mortal world to practice in order to slay demons. Su Jin quickly ran forward and quickly locked onto a group of people, all of whom were uniformly dressed in fluttering white clothes. Su Jin's eyes lit up. Although she only saw the male and female protagonists, it also meant that she was a little closer to her mission, right? Separate the male and female protagonists and help the mistress villain to the main palace, Start with me. Su Jin quietly followed the group of people, and the little palace maid who didn't know what was going on asked, Princess, what are we going to do? Talk less, do more. Su Jin frowned and watched the group of people walk to and in with all his attention, and Su Jin also walked in. Hey, did you know? Recently, a cat demon appeared in the capital. It is very rampant. It specializes in sucking the essence of men. It has already discovered several murder cases. I also heard that if you catch that cat demon, you'll get a free bounty. Then you have to have that ability. If Su Jin guessed correctly, the male and female protagonists who came out at this time would definitely catch this cat demon. As expected, the hero and heroine rested for a while and then went out, probably to inquire about news or something. What troubles Su Jin is that the activity of catching the cat demon is probably carried out at night. The original owner is a princess and must return to the palace before dark. This is embarrassing. Just as he was thinking about it, a voice as gentle as jade sounded. Yue, are you naughty and leaving the palace again? Su Jin followed the voice and looked, and a handsome face appeared in front of her eyes. It was like a crown jewel and was very similar to the original owner. This was the 9th prince born from the same empress as the original owner, by Jingshi. Su Jin's eyes lit up instantly. According to the original owner's memory, this brother had the best relationship with her, and he was considered a sister-control brother. Bai Jingshi has already been crowned king, so he has his own mansion and a place to stay tonight. So he put on a sweet smile and looked towards Bai Jingshi, only to find that there was another person beside him. He could only be considered handsome, but he was instantly killed when standing next to Bai Jingshi, so it was normal for Su Jin to ignore him at first. Ding! The villain boss has appeared, the one next to Bai Jingshi. Su Jin's face was full of doubts. Is this the supervillain who is so cool and stunningly beautiful? Are you kidding me? With this appearance, he is less than 1,000th of the male protagonist. How can he have the confidence to kill the male protagonist and win the female protagonist back? Su Jin felt that the difficulty of this task had increased by 100 million. This is Yazi after the villain disguises himself. Brother Wang, who is this? Bai Jingshi saw his imperial sister staring at him without blinking, so he had to introduce her briefly. This is Brother Xie. Su Jin nodded, and then Bai Jingshi briefly introduced her to Xie. Brother Wang, I'm staying at your residence tonight. Note that this is not a question, this is just a greeting. Bai Jingshi didn't object much, but happily agreed. Okay, my mother, and I will inform you later. Then Su Jin followed Bai Jingshi and Xie. During this period, she carefully observed Xie, but she saw that the man's expression had not changed at all. He was probably facially paralyzed. They also knew that Xie was invited by Bai Jingshi to catch demons. Bai Jingshi had almost praised Xie to the sky, but the man still had no expression on his face. Villains don't play by the rules, 1. On a dark and windy night, Su Jin pushed away the maid who was serving him and secretly left the house. Under the night, a small figure walked quickly, and with the golden finger of the system prompting her, it was not a problem for her to find the location of the cat demon. Su Jin found a relatively secluded position that was suitable for eating melons. She arrived at a good time. The male and female protagonists were already fighting with the cat demon. While Su Jin watched with relish, she also lit a candle for the cat demon. A group of people beat her. This was a group fight. However, the next second Su Jin couldn't sympathize anymore, because the cat demon was gradually at a disadvantage when facing a group of people. She had already noticed a weakling not far away eating melons and watching them fight. Without further ado, she stretched out her hand in the next second and directly rolled Su Jin to her side. The sudden disaster left Su Jin expressionless. She firmly believed that she would not die at the hands of such a cat demon. Warm reminder, the host is not the heroine and does not have the halo of the heroine, so in this case, it is possible to die directly. Damn it, can't I just deceive myself? He died happily, without any consciousness. Although you are not a human being, you are a real dog. Let me go, or this woman will die. Since the cat demon had a hostage in his hands, this group of people stopped fighting. It was an old-fashioned opening statement. Although Su Jin had no expression on her face, her legs were actually trembling. Regarding Su Jin's increasingly serious shaking, the cat demon frowned and reprimanded him harshly. Stop shaking. I'll kill you if you keep shaking. Su Jin, who was motionless, looked for help at the leading male and female protagonist, but she forgot that this female protagonist was not an ordinary female protagonist. She was ruthless, and she was not comparable to those virgin female protagonists. So she didn't take the cat demon's words seriously, but sneered. Anyway, you already have so many lives on your hands, so why not have one more than kill you? Damn it, heroine. Your views are not correct. Fortunately, the only one who is ruthless is the heroine. Senior sister, this is not good. Human life is at stake. Our purpose of catching the cat demon is just to prevent her from harming other lives. Yes, senior sister. Have you forgotten our original intention? Yeah. Su Jin was moved to tears and wrote down the good brother, who just spoke for her in a small notebook. The heroine, who wanted to distract the cat demon, gritted her teeth in anger. What kind of pig teammate is this? However, Su Jin saw that they had been bastarded and still had no way to save herself. She could only look at them helplessly. Can you be more dedicated? The cat demon didn't say anything. She focused on planning an escape route and was not in a hurry. Suddenly, the group of people stopped chattering and all looked behind the cat demon. Before the cat demon could react, she was hit hard on the back, and then her arms were empty. Even if the hostage is gone, the cat demon will not just stay there in a daze, but will jump away and disappear in an instant. The group of people quickly chased after him. Su Jin only felt that her back collar was being held up like a chicken. Who has grabbed my fate by the throat? The next second, she was liberated because the man had let go of her, and Su Jin collapsed on the ground. Focusing on the person who rescued him, an expressionless face came into view. Villains don't play by the rules, too. Su Jin was immediately moved. She didn't expect that at the most critical moment, it would be the villain who saved her. If you save her, the heroine will definitely be yours. Thank you so much, ninth brother, for saving me. Su Jin tried his best to stabilize his legs, stood up, and imitated the ancient's way of raising his hands to bow, which was quite stylish. Siegio twitched the corners of her lips. The woman was so beautiful that every hair on her body was so beautiful that he liked her. She looked at him with watery eyes, making people want to hold her in his arms and ravage her fiercely. Siegio lowered his eyes, covered up that terrible thought, turned around and left. Her neck was so thin that it seemed like she could snap it with just a little effort. Her skin was also very soft. Siegio touched her fingertips unconsciously, and the feeling just now seemed to still remain. How could Su Jin let Siegio go alone first? Of course she patted her, and followed him shamelessly. Brother Siegio, I feel like I can't repay my life-saving grace, so I have to… Promise yourself? Siegio suddenly stopped and stared at Su Jin with his deep eyes. Ah? Before Su Jin could react, Siegio continued to walk forward, as if what he just said was an illusion. Su Jin didn't pay much attention to it. Her words were cliché, so Siegio probably just took it in casually. Su Jin ran a few steps to catch up, then looked at Siegio's paralyzed face with a shy face and said, "The little girl knows she is not worthy of Brother Siegio, so be it, whoever you like. The little girl will definitely go through fire and water, and I will help you chase her without any hesitation. By making a promise this way, it will be easier to help in the future." The villain was too cold and ignored her. Su Jin didn't care and continued to have a good relationship with the villain. This way, when she acts like a monster in the future, it would be easier for her to attack him. Su Jin couldn't help but shudder when she thought of the original owner's death. This villain has endless ways of torturing people. Despite his elegant appearance, he is actually a devil on the inside. Gentle scum. Su-jin cursed in his heart. Wait, on the surface, this villain might want to strangle himself to death in his heart. After all, he is just a cannon fodder female supporting role. For a moment, Su-jin's heart was extremely complicated, like porridge mixed with 5 flavors of sour, sweet, bitter, spicy, and salty. To be honest, now she couldn't approach the villain without any grudges. At this time, the system, which felt bad, made a sound. Host, have you forgotten the heroic actions of the villain when he just saved you? Su-jin covered her face, feeling ashamed that she had guessed the villain so much. At this time, she had not provoked the villain or the heroine, and the villain probably would not kill her. After all, villains also follow principles. I will not offend others unless they offend me, and if someone offends me, I will punish them. Siegio walked a long way and had put a long distance between himself and the people behind him. Under the night, the man's sullen face was extremely gloomy, his whole body was full of hostility, and there was air conditioning around him. Why didn't you follow him? As a result, he didn't even notice that his footsteps were getting faster and faster, and he disappeared from sight visible to the naked eye. He seemed to have completely lost his mind. Even he himself didn't know why this happened, and he didn't want to investigate why. Su-jin, who just wanted to catch up with the villain boss. Do you think you are annoying her? Do you think she is a drag and want to get rid of her? Tuayo Pingjin suddenly felt helpless. Why is it so difficult for people to live? On a dark and windy night, with the wind blowing around her and the sound of a baby crying in her ears, Su-jin felt that her heart was not strong enough. Those who criticize villains will not show mercy to their loved ones. Well, she's not the heroine. She doesn't deserve the villain's pity. Su-jin looked up to the sky and sighed. Being a human being is so difficult. Villains don't play by the rules. 3. Wait, why does it feel like the sky is getting darker, as if it is completely shrouded in dark clouds? Su-jin tilted his head back a little and saw the black face of the villain. I don't know if it was the darkness or the light problem, but Su-jin felt that Geo didn't feel too painful in his heart. Su-jin covered her injured heart, feeling that she could no longer bear it and almost left this beautiful world. Let's go. In one word, the villain didn't hesitate at all. He directly put the woman's small but very material body behind the creaking nest and a cool set of flying eaves and walls. What Su-jin saw was another scene. Not far away was the scene of the fight between the cat demon and the male and female protagonist. Su-jin couldn't help but shrink back to the villain, fearing that she would be targeted again, and then she would not treat her as a human being. Why did you bring me here? Could it be that the villain just let her work and capture the heroine? But that's not right. In the original plot, the villain at this time still has no feelings for the heroine. Speaking of which, today is the first time the villain and the heroine meet. The villain glanced at Su-jin lightly, then slightly rolled up his sleeves and said in a cold voice, "Watch it." What are you looking at? The next second, Su-jin got the answer. I saw the villain teleporting to the cat demon, and he operated as fiercely as a tiger. When he saw the cat demon with 0 moves and 5 moves, the cat demon was beaten back to its original shape and then broke into 5 pieces. I still don't understand why she disappeared all of a sudden. As a good young man in the 21st century, Su-jin said that he couldn't accept it. He said, "It's so broad, scary, and cruel. This is cat abuse." But at the same time, I feel excited. Has the villain finally attacked the male protagonist? Compared to Su-jin's excitement, the hero and heroine and the rest of the group were already stunned. They had been fighting for so long, but they still couldn't take down the cat demon, so they were just solved like this? While they were impressed, they also felt a little desperate. They wanted to catch the cat demon alive. Siegio glanced at the corpse on the ground, frowned, with disgust in his eyes, but still picked up a branch, picked up the cat demon's head, and walked towards Su-jin step by step. Su-jin looked at the cat demon's eyes that were wide open because of unwillingness, swallowed his saliva, and felt that he could almost kick off his legs and return home. Mom, even though she has a stronger heart, she can't bear the trouble. Siejio moved forward step by step, and Su-jin also retreated step by step. Is the villain holding the cat's head and trying to throw it at his face? What hatred and resentment! Finally, Su-jin's back hit a tree, and she had no way out. Su-jin stared at the villain with a look of death, and then closed her eyes in despair. The expected scene did not appear. When Siejio was only one step away from Su-jin, Su-jin could almost smell the blood of the cat demon and felt a surge in his stomach. Siejio glanced at Su-jin and didn't understand where her fear came from. He raised the cat's head in front of Su-jin and said, "Dead." Su-jin opened her eyes immediately after hearing the sound, just in time to glare at the cat demon, which caught her off guard and startled her. After silence, silence, and silence, came a scream that rang through the sky, scaring the birds in the trees to fly away. Siejio was silent for a long time and continued to kindly remind Su-jin, "Dead." Then, just to prove it, he finally threw away the branch in his hand and the cat's head. "It's because I'm even more afraid of death." Throw it down in anger. Bad review, villain. You deserve to be single. Villains don't play by the rules, 4. Don't you believe it? When the villain asked this, Su-jin had a bad feeling. He must do something to prove it. I believe it, Su-jin said solemnly. Now her mind was filled with the eyes of the cat demon, which were so penetrating that she would definitely have nightmares for a few days. Siejio looked at Su-jin's appearance, and the sadistic desire that he had suppressed in his heart surged up again. This timid look was so cute. I really want to scare her again. Fortunately, at this time, the male and female protagonists came up to interrupt the villain's thoughts, allowing Su-jin to escape temporarily. May I ask the senior's name? The junior Zishao, Tang Qinyuan, just witnessed the grace and heroic appearance of the senior with a group of fellow apprentices. The juniors are really ashamed of themselves. The male protagonist, Tang Qinyuan, said in a respectful tone. Although Siejio seemed to be as old as him, the world of immortal cultivation was full of ways to maintain his skills. Siejio could easily deal with a cat demon, so Tang Qinyuan subconsciously thought that Siejio was someone who could be his grandfather. But the setting is that the villain is 1 month younger than the hero. Su-jin covered her face, not wanting to see the male protagonist being impressed by the villain at all, and Siejio's face was even more tender than Tang Qinyuan's. How could you scream that, senior? Especially Siejio didn't even pay attention to Tang Qinyuan. His face was still expressionless. Tang Qinyuan didn't feel embarrassed. His seniors were always aloof, which was understandable, so he smiled good-naturedly. Regarding Tang Qinyuan's gentleness and elegance, the villain is more like the author's own son. His face is like a celestial being, like a flower on a high mountain that can only be viewed from a distance but cannot be desecrated. In the original work, the villain loses because he is too paranoid and hazy. It is difficult to guess his thoughts. His brain circuit is very strange. He tortures people when he is unhappy. He is very abnormal. The female protagonist, who is full of positive energy, will never accept Siejio, who is full of negative energy, so she chose the gentle male protagonist. Siejio looked at the sky and saw that it was almost dawn, then said calmly to Su-jin, "Let's go." Then he prepared for the next move. Su-jin was already on guard, took a step back, and discussed with a flattering smile, "Can you change your position so that you don't have to pinch yourself?" Even if this posture is inelegant, it is still uncomfortable. Siejio thought for a moment. Okay. Then he stepped forward to pick the person up and disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye, leaving behind a group of people who were about to step forward to say hello. Su-jin felt like her stomach was filled with disgrace, and she tried her best to cover her mouth to prevent herself from vomiting. She is still the most beautiful woman in the world. She cannot embarrass the original owner. She must be beautiful. She is a little fairy and cannot vomit. But today's cat demon was so disgusting. She couldn't help it anymore. She was about to ask Siegio to put her down. Unexpectedly, when he opened his mouth, the excrement slipped out uncontrollably. Siegio seemed to have noticed something and put Sujin down as quickly as possible and then took a few steps away. But at first glance, he still saw what Sujin had vomited, and he finally had a different expression. Yazi looked like, "Oh, you're so disgusting," then calmly shifted his gaze and held his breath secretly. The little fairy is no longer the little fairy, and she is still hesitating whether she should carry the person back to the palace. After Sujin finished vomiting, she saw Siegio's slightly disgusted expression. While she was ashamed, she couldn't help but vent her anger everywhere. She was like this, and it wasn't all thanks to him. "Host, you have to calm down. There will be no good results if you go against a villain." At this time, the system appeared in time to pacify Sujin and let her recognize the reality. Sujin saden ni wisid. Bad review of the villain again. Villains don't play by the rules. 5. Let's go. After saying that, he walked slowly. After some tangle in his heart, Siegio decided not to touch Sujin. The little fairy tonight was no longer a clean little fairy. "Dirty! I have to go back and clean myself up." The two kept a certain distance and walked in tandem. It was Siegio who was careful to keep a distance. Every time Sujin wanted to speed up to catch up, he also speeded up. Sujin was slower, and he was slower. After practicing it several times, Sujin finally understood that she had been rejected and suddenly felt very aggrieved. "Do you still have any dignity as a princess?" The next day, Sujin almost slept until 3 o'clock in the morning before getting up. She was still a little angry when she was forcefully woken up by the maid. She still refused to open her eyes and squinted slightly, looking very confused. The maid whispered in her ear, "Princess, you really can't sleep like this anymore. Sleeping too much is not good for your health." "Princess, this slave is here to dress you and change your clothes." "Princess, I will dress you." Sujin had automatically blocked interference from the outside world and was still sleeping. After the maid dressed her up, Sujin fell back without support. Okay, that's a lot of work in vain. However, Sujin regained her energy. She opened her eyes suddenly, looked at the slightly depressed and helpless maid, and smiled sheepishly. She didn't return to the palace until close to midnight last night, and she still didn't sleep enough until this time. The maid looked at Sujin's silly smile and couldn't help but shake her head. The princess has become a lot stupider these days, but her temper is gone. She looks soft and waxy, completely different from the condescending person she used to be. I don't know what stimulated the princess. Or is the princess possessed by a monster? "Princess, it's time to eat." Sujin's eyes brightened even more, and she began to enjoy the princess-like treatment again. After eating and drinking, Sujin went out to bask in the sun. There was a maid peeling and feeding grapes beside her. Yuera finally woke up. Sujin thought with her toes and knew that the person coming was Bai Jingshi. Sujin looked over and saw that Bai Jingshi was like a spring breeze, with a pair of charming peach blossom eyes blinking nonstop, taking away the soul of the maid wearing Sujin beside her. Sujin was also stunned for a moment, but it was not to Bai Jingshi, but to the person accompanying Bai Jingshi, who was the villain Siegio. He looked full of energy and didn't look like he was out doing bad things in the middle of the night. "This damn golden finger. I'm awake, but I have to go back to the palace. My mother wants someone for me. This is a little ancestor." Return to the palace? How can this be done? In the original book, this sister-in-law brother can't stand the original owner's coquettishness. Although she is not good at coquettishness, she can be playful. Bai Jing still couldn't bear it. "Brother Wang, stop talking. If I don't go back, I will stay here." "Stay here?